Ben and I are doing something different here. We're actually filming Ben's got the camera set up. We're gonna do a Bella Be Good series video, but we're gonna do it live just on Instagram, and we're going to do them live consistently here through this little window of what we're working on. We're gonna hold conditioner. So I finally come to the decision. I'm gonna hold conditioner. She's about 13 months old right now. Probably the latest I've ever done it with a dog, and the reason is she really hasn't given me a reason that I needed to. Her delivery has been pretty good. We've had a little bit of an issue with her running past me with a lot of momentum, which I'm not too worried about. If you followed along with our podcast at all, we did a podcast a couple weeks ago with Jay Lowry on placeboard training. And so one of the things that we are going to do with her is some placeboard training that I think will help fix that delivery, especially in combination with the hold conditioning. We're going to start in on placeboard training with her simultaneously, because I'm going to do it without dummies. I'm going to do it with no dummies at all. We won't make retrieves during it. We're not going to make retrieves at all during her hold conditioning, but we're going to start it out. I always use my freezers. I think elevating them just it adds an element of focus, because I think it takes away their feet and it takes away their confidence a little bit, and so it allows for them, I think, to focus on the job at hand, which the job at hand for her is going to be to hold something. Now, the one nice part about Bella is she has a really natural hold. It's been very natural. So day one, I don't get into a lot with them. Some dogs I don't get into much of anything other than getting them settled in, being up on this elevated. We've got this flat collar. I'm going to use a flat collar. I rarely ever put a collar on the dogs. Nylon collar, and never put a shock collar on them, but I rarely use a nylon collar. But for hold conditioning I do, because I don't want her ducking out. And so my setup is going up this stair stringer. I have 3 different nails here. That's because over the years I've had dogs that varied in size, and I hang it accordingly. So she's probably going to be somewhere on the middle, I think, but I put it on there so that they can move around. Day one, I'm going to let her investigate. I don't want her so locked up. Here's the indicator that she's doing good. Tail is wagging. I don't mind even having her walk a little bit up here. Come on. So I've had times where I've really struggled with a dog to even move back and forth. These are 2 different freezers. The elevation changes, and I have had dogs that just hung up and got stuck, wouldn't come across here. You filmed, I think, a bunch of those. We did that with Elsa and a couple dogs, Tito, and I don't know if we've ever posted those. We filmed them all. I don't know that we've posted them. So it's something that Ben and I might look at. Good, here. Now, she just picked up my pumpkin seeds. So nothing wrong with that. Eventually that's what she will do. I'm gonna set those down. But literally all I'm doing is, and you can see kind of how comfortable, how quickly she's getting comfortable up on the top here. I'm only doing this just to get the dog move around a little bit. Sit, because we're not gonna have her moving around to start out with. And so let me put the collar on her, and I'm going to put the hook on, and then I'm going to stop touching her, because now I'm going to take a little step back, and all of a sudden she's feeling pressure to her neck. And let's just see how she responds. A lot of times dogs will start to fuss. A lot of times they get real tensed up. She's got to start to experiment where she can. You see her try to put her head down. She feels the pressure and she picks back up. I don't necessarily need to be connected to that right now. I want her to figure out that this is a stationary thing. And because when we first start out with it, I don't want her bobbing her head. I don't want her ducking her head. I don't want her ducking out of it. So she's doing just fine. Good. Normally I wouldn't talk much during this. This is the other reason that I'm hold conditioning with her right now. We just did a podcast, nothing about hold conditioning, but we just did a different podcast. And I talked about in that podcast how just recently I've become a little bit frustrated with her, a little easier than I probably want to be. So I am going to look at this. I think hold conditioning is probably one of the easier ways to really connect with the dog. Like I feel like you have to get through it and get through it successfully. And so I do think it's a way for us to strengthen our bond together, our connection together, our feel for each other, our trust for each other. It's why I don't force fetch. I don't want anything negative. I don't understand. Dogs, she loves to retrieve. She's shown me that. It's in her it's a natural thing for a retriever to retrieve, and it's really for her the big reward. And so I have no desire or reason to connect any type of pressure and pain to that. To me, it's counterproductive. So that's just the reason why I go with this method or style of, it's polishing up the delivery. It's getting the delivery the way I need it. She's settling in really nice. You can see she's a little tense with her tone of her muscles here. I can hang that down just one more notch. It's just, I don't want her to be able to duck down to here, which she wouldn't be able to, because I want that head position there, and eventually I want that chin up. So she's settled in really nice. Some dogs, I might do this, just this, for the first few days. I expect hold conditioning to go pretty quickly with Bella. Now I expect that, doesn't mean it's going to happen. The reason is because I feel like we've done a really, really strong job, and it's the reason why we haven't done this until now. We've done a really good job of shaping and forming the delivery to this point. She's probably the best I've ever had. And it's because it was very natural for her in the beginning, and we fostered that. So this process will probably be, I don't expect it to be real hard. I don't expect it to be extremely challenging. I think she'll go along with it pretty good, but you never know. And so you can see she can get her head down to about here. I don't know that I even want her to be able to get down there. So I'm just going to hang it to that middle one where I thought I'm going to have her move just a little bit, because I do want her to understand that she's got these boundaries. So I'm going to position her butt over here. Sit. Because that's the position I want her in to actually, and you can tell because this is loose. This is perfect. A lot of times these dogs will pull on this and then they just brace themselves. They literally like brace their weight against it. Now she feels that pressure and comes right back. And so by having it be loose, it tells me she's really comfortable. Good. And you can see it, you can see in her ears, you can see in her eyes. Good. Pretty positive right now, pretty good, responding pretty well. I might even try to put the dowel in. Now, good, hold. She took it real easily. Hold, good. Hold, very good. That chin comes up. I don't like them ducking down. Hold, good. And she's gonna make it look easy. Hold, hold, good. Very good. Hold, good, good. Hold, hold, good. Dead. Very nice. She makes it look easy. And the reason I'm, we got to do it eventually with her. The issue I have with showing her hold conditioning, I'm doing it because I just think I think I gotta show it to you. It's a really, really important part of training, and I talk about that all the time. The only reason I have hesitation to show you going through it with her is because it's gonna be frustrating for some. Because some people are gonna go, it's too easy for him. It's too easy for that dog. Trust me, we'll show those other, we need, now that I think about it, we'll go on our YouTube channel and you'll see lots of different dogs that I've done this with, and some of them I wrestle with. Some of the workshop dogs we've wrestled with just to show them step one. Some of them we can't even take a dowel out. Some of them have a hard time being on the freezer or on the elevated platform. She doesn't. The hold is gonna, like I said, it's gonna come easy for her. So we roll up the gums. I don't want her pinching her gums. Hold, hold. And I'm never gonna pet her on the top of the head because it's just gonna encourage her to put her head down. Hold, hold, hold. That's one thing we're gonna start to fix. I don't think she's going to drop it, but I don't want her turning her head down and looking away. Hold. Good. Hold. This is where this connection part comes. I want those eyes right here. Hold. 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 Good. When she looks at me, I tell her good. Good. Hold. Good. Hold. Chin up. Good. Good. Hold. Good. Now I go in there like I'm going to take it, and she starts to open up. Dead. Dead. Good. Good. I'm not going to go any further today. And normally, I'm way further ahead than I would normally be with any dog that I start this out with for the first time. But it's because, again, I've never had a dog prepared for hold as well as her. Well, she's 13 months old. Normally we're doing this well before this, and it's because we have to. And right now with her, I don't have to. I honestly don't know that I have to right now, but I have to eventually, and we might as well get it done. And today's a really rainy, crappy day, and so we said, let's just do it. So we decided we're going to start it, and we're not going to retrieve until we get through it. And so it's going to be this progression of steps. And we're showing it for lots of reasons, but it's probably one of the things that we get maybe the most questions on. And so, and it's also, I think, one of the most important parts from a formal retrieving standpoint. So she settles in nicely. This is a real short, sweet, positive little session. I actually got the dowel into her mouth. We're starting out with a dowel because if the dog didn't like this, which most of them don't like it to begin with, you could be wrestling to put it in. A lot of dogs will retrieve a dummy, no problem. They'll pick up a ball, no problem. But this thing, for me to get them up on a table and try pushing something into their mouth to tell them to hold on to it, they fight it. They get this lock jaw. They don't want to open up. They push it out with their tongue. And so the second you put it in, they spit it out. And I end up putting it back in. And so if she had spit this out right away, I'd be right here. No, hold. Hold. And I wouldn't even take my hands away. Hold. Hold. And by me doing this, look at her head. Look at how her head doesn't turn. Hold. And if she tries to, I'm right here to correct it so she doesn't get a chance to. Hold. Good. Hold. She's trying to turn out of it. Hold. Good. Hold. Good. Good. Dead. So that one I asked her to be even more perfect by guiding her right here with my hands. If she were to spit it out, I'd have been able to put it back and say, no, hold. She wasn't trying to spit it out, but she was trying to turn her head. So I'm right here to help her to say, no, don't do that. Right here, when she looks at me and I look at her, I say, good, good, good. And that's where this whole connection thing develops, because there's a lot of exchange here with trust and feel and her understanding that it's a little uncomfortable, but he's kind of making it feel more comfortable. And I'm on the other end going, when she looks me in the eye like that, and when she gets done and she licks her lips like that, and she's got this calmness about her, I go, she really is trying for me. Because it's probably not what she would choose to do right now, but she's willing to do it for me. And so it's perfect timing for me because I've been short with her. Not bad not in a terrible way, but I've probably been a little bit frustrated at times because I've talked about it in the Bella Be Good series that we've been documenting, and we're a couple months back with posting those, but you're going to see it in a couple months where she's tested me because all of a sudden she's gone from this maturity to puppy, maturity to puppy, maturity to puppy, and she went through a really nice, came out of puppy stage around 10 months and just grew up, and I'm like, oh man, this is perfect. This is just how I want her to be. And then at about a little over a year, she starts rambunctious again. She starts to be a little bit more puppy-like. She's mischievous, I think is a good way to put it. And it's pissing me off, and I'm getting frustrated with it, and I'm getting upset, and I'm going, you know what? She's 13 months old. She's a puppy. So let's accept that and be okay with it. So for me to now go into hold conditioning with her while we're at that point, I actually think it's going to help us get past and through it, and it's going to fix our issue. One of the things that creates this little bit of frustration for me is every time she delivers, she doesn't come to my front. She circles around me and comes to me. And occasionally it allows her to boil up too much and get too much momentum. And so all those every time we do that, A, we're forming a bad habit and reinforcing the bad habit, and B, it's making me a little more mad. And so the more and more that piles up in me, the more and more it breaks down our trust and connection with each other. So let's fix that. So we decided we're going to fix it. And we're going to do it, we're filming it for Bella, but we're all for the Bella Be Good series, but we're also going to do it live on Instagram as long as we can get the connection to work. So we're shutting off all of our other Wi-Fi stuff, and we're hoping that this is going to work. So it's going to be a good test. Anything on there that I have to address?
Yeah, Levi said, new to your page, what is the goal of hold conditioning?
Deliver to hand, confidently, cleanly, so it fixes. It will fix a lot of symptoms. It'll remedy a lot of symptoms. Symptoms like dropping stuff short, where a dog doesn't come all the way to you, they spit it out early. Playing chase or keep away with an object in their mouth. They want to come to you, but they stay short, and then you take a step to take it from them, and they bolt, and it turns into this game of chase and keep away. Just not picking up in general. Like I call it blinking at a bumper. So you got a dummy or something out there. The dog runs out to pick it up. They pick it up, they set it down, and they move off. And so what happens with this is when we put this into her mouth, by the time we're done with this whole process, she's going to go out and make a retrieve. Hold, chin up, hold. She's going to go out, make a retrieve, dead. As soon as she gets to it and puts it in her mouth, she will be essentially brainwashed to not be able to set it down until she hears me say dead, and I'm in position to take it from her. So it's cleaning up, from a bird hunting standpoint, a cripple, dog picks it up. The last thing I want is a habit where a dog drops short. They come to me and they set it 5 yards away from me, and they're good enough. That's good enough. Well, then the cripple runs off. And so then the chase is back on. So the idea of blinking is it happens. Dogs run out and they don't pick something up and they move on to the next. And I had a dog that had that happened with me, with him, and I didn't know why. It was before I ever did hold conditioning. And so it's instead of her problem right now is she comes back really with a lot of intensity, and I don't want to necessarily slow that down too much. I like that drive, I like that energy, but when she comes in so hot, she flies by me. And so she circles by, and then she circles around, and then eventually she comes in. I want her coming right to me. I don't want this extra curricular stuff going on. Some people have dogs that run big circles around them with the dummy. They just circle, 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 and eventually they get them into them. It's real inefficient. So we need a dog to understand you go out, you pick up, and when you come back, you bring it right to this is where we would develop how you want them to deliver. Some people like delivering to the side. I like it to the front. I much prefer a dog to come right up to my front. And so this is where we're going to form that. To this point, we've worked super hard on establishing the understanding of what hold means. And that's just encouraging it as a little puppy. So what was it? Was it Dylan was his name?
Levi.
Levi. So Levi, I would look back on the Bella Be Good series, which is on YouTube. And we probably have stuff on Instagram, and we probably have stuff on Facebook as well. But I know we have tons of it. But if on our YouTube channel, the Bella Be Good series will explain, it will show you what we've done to this point, because we've recorded all of her training to this point. But we have got on YouTube, we've got a hold conditioning video. It's edited and produced, and it's this process, but with, I don't know, we use Hutch in it, we use Millie in it, we used a couple different dogs. And they're all different. And Ben and I were just talking about, I did this with Elsa, I did it with Tito, I've done it with Jet, I've done it with Drop Tine, I did it with her sister, Kimber. We've recorded a lot of different dogs doing hold conditioning, and they're all a little bit different. And so that's why I think I'm hesitant to show this, because everyone's going to go, oh, that's too easy, because it's usually not this easy. But we've done a really good job of preparing for it, I think. It's a good question.
CY Howell said, how does this work with an older dog, one who does not like to hold for longer periods of time?
I think it works the exact same. It's just what I think you have to do is, it's funny you ask, because we just had a person, we did a podcast this afternoon, and the person had a how old was that dog? It was 6 months or something. And he said, you know, I'm watching, I don't know, he was watching one of the things that we were doing. He said, they said, I've got this dog, it's 6 months old, it knows how to retrieve. Where do I start with it for training? And I told him, you start in the beginning. So I told him, you go back and you treat that 6-month-old puppy like a 2-month-old puppy and go through the same steps, because even with an older dog, if you start in a different spot, like there's the beginning and the end and then all the stuff that goes in between. The dog might be older, but just because the dog is older in this scale, starting somewhere other than the beginning leaves you all the beginning stuff void. The thing about an older dog is you probably have a lot of parts and pieces. It's a matter of, do you have them all and are they in order? So where do you start? The easiest way is always starting in the beginning. And then you might go faster with an older dog than a younger dog. Might be because the dog's more mature. Might be because the dog has some of these skills. She's older. She's 13 months. I'm used to doing this with puppies as young as 7 or 8 months. 5 months is not a huge difference time-wise, but it's a gigantic difference in dog-wise. 8 months to 13 months are totally different dogs. She's been 3 different dogs in between that phase. So when you say older, I don't care if they're 4, 5, 6 years old. The thing you have to keep in mind is you might have 3, 4, 5 years of habits that have been formed. And if those habits are undesirable, like dropping short, running circles, doing whatever, you have to understand that now you got to erase all those bad habits first, which means stop all the retrieving, don't reinforce it anymore. But now it might take, in order to balance out those so many years of bad habits that have been formed, you might have to do it even longer. So it just depends. But usually a little bit older dog is a little bit more, a little sharper and picks up on things a little bit faster at times because they have that maturity, that ability to be able to do it a little quicker. But I don't care about the time. I'm glad I'm doing it with her at 13 months because I've never done it with the dog this old. She's not giving me a reason to have to do it earlier. Anything else? Okay, so that's our first live one that we've done of Bella. Well, yeah, I think it's the first live one we've done in the whole series, and we're up to posting 70 some maybe, and we've filmed more than that. So that's it for Instagram, and then the Bella Be Good series. Ben will edit this up, and we'll have it. This will play in a few weeks probably. So.
Drive home, and I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned